When I find myself in traffic, which is often, such as this morning when I was coming into Catholic TV, when I'm stalled and come to a stop, I look around and I scan the different bumper stickers. It's a way to pass the time in the bumper-to-bumper traffic is by reading the bumper stickers. And I saw one recently that caught my eye and made me chuckle. It said, "Pray for your enemies. It drives them crazy." I got a chuckle out of that one because when we think of our enemies, we don't necessarily think of people who hate us, but maybe people who just kind of irritate us, people who just kind of get under our skin because, I think there are very few of us who have really, really true enemies, people who hate us. But if we do, then Jesus gives us a new commandment, as our gospel acclamation says, to love one another as I have loved you. And what does that mean, though? Well, it means a few things. It means to love as Christ loved, to see within the heart, to see beyond the person, beyond their attitudes, beyond their actions, beyond really even their very selves, their very beings, and into their souls. This is something Jesus could do. He could see into one's soul, of course, as God. It's been said that the Curé of Ars, Saint Jean Vianney, could read people's souls in the confessional. And what a gift that would be as a confessor, to be able to read somebody's souls and to help them to be free of those things that are burdensome, to be free of those things that are challenging in one's life. But most of us don't have that gift to read souls, but some of us, many of us have that ability to read people, to be able to kind of see what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what they're about, and to work with that. And when we do, we are called to see Christ in them and to be Christ for them. And this means, indeed, to love as Christ loves and to interact with others as Christ would interact with us, and to treat others in the way that we would want to be treated, that we would care to be treated, that we deserve to be treated as children of God. But others deserve that as well. They deserve our love. And this does not mean love in the way that the world means it. I think when we see this, when we see you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy, but I say to you, love your enemies. Well, just because we love our enemies as Christ loves, that doesn't necessarily mean, and often doesn't mean, that we like what they do and what they're about. When I was younger and my mother would say to us, "Well, stop that. I hate when you do this." And we would jump to the wrong conclusion by saying, "Well, you just said you hated me." No. I hate what you do, but I will always love you. Or she would say to us, when we would say that, we would accuse her of not loving us, she would say to us, "No, I will always love you. I just don't like you very much right now." Sometimes we can love the person and not like what they do, not like what they're about, and not like the way that they're living. And maybe the way that we show love to that person is by a way of gentle correction, of moving them away from that behavior, that way of living, into a new way of living, into a new way of being, really, and to help them to see the error of their ways by gently loving them into correction, loving them into a moment of understanding, of illumination of their mind and heart, and to change minds and hearts. And if we can't do that, at the very least, we can pray for our enemies. We can pray that they may change their minds, their hearts, their ways. We can pray for their well-being. We can pray that God touches their hearts in a way that we cannot touch them. Because there are sometimes, let's face it, where we do our level best, where we work with somebody and we just can't reach them. We just can't get to them. We just can't change them. Well, in those cases, it may not be up to us to do the changing. It may be up to somebody else, or it may be up to God himself. There are some people maybe that only God can reach. And in those cases, we let God be God. We give them over to God. We commend them to God. We give them over in a way so as to always keep them in prayer, always keep them in our minds and hearts, and to constantly pray for them, but to pray for their conversion in a way that only God can give. As a people of faith, we are indeed called to be perfect, just as our Heavenly Father is perfect. And this perfection comes not in having no missteps, because human nature being what it is, we are going to misstep, we are going to error, we ourselves are going to fall into sin. But it means to strive for that sense of perfection, to strive for that sense of goodness that comes in loving God and loving neighbor, and to love one another as God has loved us.